Markers and Milestones, where we explore educational opportunities for young men and women beyond traditional college and all from a Christ-centered perspective. I'm Lee Bortons, and I'm here with my co-host, Amanda Kleist. Today is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023, and we're joined by a married couple, Lucas and Evalyn Fonseca. Did I say that right? Fonseca. Yeah. They're missionaries with YWAM. Thank you for joining us, Evalyn and Lucas.
It's an honor. Super excited.
Pleasure to be here.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. So the reason I wanted to have you on is because with our title, Markers and Milestones, and we're trying to show families that there's all kinds of ways children can build the skill set they need to become very, successful, functioning adults. And you guys have really stepped up being missionaries, especially missionaries in a foreign country. And so I wanted families to hear your story and also to hear how you got to where you are now. And then I have some specific questions about YWAM and costs. And then after we talk about those things, and I'll say them again, Amanda's really good about asking about the philosophical things about why we do what we do. So remember that the audience you're talking to is either the parent or challenge age students who are trying to, direct them, figure out where the Lord's directing them. So my first question is first for you, Evalyn. You were in classical conversations. How did classical conversations prepare you to be a missionary?
Yes, I was in classical conversations. I loved it. I started in journeyman class. So I don't know what the name is now, but
Still journeyman.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, it was an amazing journey for me. I loved being homeschooled, and everything that CC did was so so vital to my character and building my character and my worldview and my faith. When I think about that question, how CC prepared me for mission specifically, I really the word that comes to mind is just integration. I think my faith was so well integrated into my everyday life. I think about the integration even of strands, the integration of just everything that we do. I think CC, the foundation of the curriculum and everything we do really is the gospel. It's the gospel, everything leads back to Christ. And that reflects how the world works. Everything is actually founded on the rock, on Christ and on the gospel. And so, yeah, for me, I had a great experience relating my faith and applying my faith to my everyday life. So everywhere I go, everything I look at speaks to me about Christ and about God and about the gospel and who he is. And so I think it was obvious for me that the kingdom is the thing that I put first in my life. And so of course I'm going to be passionate about what God's passionate about what Jesus is passionate about, which is reaching people and missions and just living my life fully as unto the Lord to glorify him in the fullest capacity. So that's a struggle that I've seen with some of my, I guess, companions or other people that I meet along the way of really applying their faith and their church life to their everyday life. And to me, it's all integrated. It's all put together. And so, yeah, living my life for Christ was just obvious. There was no other way.
That's great. I'm glad CC didn't do anything to tear it down, but only to build it up. And I know your mom and dad are just really amazing people, and I appreciate the love your family has for you. Lucas, tell us your background as a child, and then we'll start moving into this adulthood that you're in now.
Well, I am a missionary kid. So I grew up with not just Christian parents, but missionaries. My parents, they're still in YWAM. They started in YWAM. They've been in YWAM for close to 40 years now.
Wow.
And their main ministry really started in the northeast part of Brazil. And then we moved out to different places around the world. But that's how I grew up. I grew up around missions. As my parents were going out to do evangelism and church planting, I was there with them the whole time. So I've both me and my sister kind of continued the family's job per se as missionaries.
What a great family legacy to have. How about that, Amanda?
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
40 years. Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a commitment. Are they retired missionaries? Are they still in the field?
Oh no, they still they're active working with the northern parts of Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dangerous stuff going on over there right now.
Yeah. We live in, well, they live now in southern Spain, and they do work with north of Africa because it's so close, and there's
Mhm.
so many people that are Muslim that are from the north part of Africa in Spain. So they still do work, a lot of work there right now.
Well, that's somebody to pray for. Thanks for letting us know about that. So, you wanted to carry on the family legacy. Can you tell us why YWAM?
Mm. So why YWAM? That's a very good question. Like,
Wait. Evelyn, what does YWAM stand for?
oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, YWAM stands for Youth with a Mission. We're
Yeah.
an international organization, movement of young people, doing missions.
So even though your parents aren't that young anymore, they're probably in leadership and they're welcome apparently till they retire or pass on to the Lord.
Yeah. So that was a huge thing with YWAM, because it started in 1960, and back then, at least in the US and Europe, if you wanted to become a missionary, you had to go through university. You had to like then serve with a church, with an internship with a church, and then become a pastor, and then have a family and be married. And by the time you're like sent out, you were sent out, you were like 40, between 40 and 50, because you had to do all these things. And while when the whole thing is, God is calling the youth. God's calling everybody, but our focus is the youth, because we want to empower them, because we've seen so many times throughout the Bible that God called and empowered people to 12, 13, 14 year olds, and we believe that God till this day he still does that. And even more now that our this generation, the Gen Z, we also want to empower them into missions.
So what what prepared you to go into missions? If somebody's maybe not had your background, where you know so much about missions, Lucas, your family was mission minded, Evelyn. What would you say to a young person who's considering missions or 16, 17 years old? What should they do to get
Mm.
ready?
And there are many, like I am in YWAM, but there are many missions organizations. For us, the first step into like becoming a missionary is what we call the DTS, the Discipleship Training School, and it's a 5-month program that in the first 3 months you have classes about different things, about the Holy Spirit, Jesus, evangelism, international missions. So you get we train you we train you in missions, in what missions is, and then the last 2 months you go out into anywhere in the world. We send out teams everywhere really, and you get to practice that. And I know that like that's like a that's the 5 months will God will start showing you like what your calling is. I'm not saying that you have to come to DTS for God to tell you what your calling is, but it's a great place for God to start showing you what are the next steps. And after DTS, you can become a staff, and we can help you send you out to different places around the world where your calling is.
I would say too that, like, for me, missions seemed like this giant faraway thing. Like, missionaries live in the jungle, they're suffering, right? Like, that was my idea of missions, even throughout high school. And so what coming here and doing DTS and being part of YWAM really like revealed to me is that missions is anything. Missions should be integrated into whatever your talents, your gifts, your passions are. So in YWAM we have kind of this legacy word about 7 spheres of society, and that there should be missionaries in all 7 spheres of society. So those spheres would be like, do you know all 7 of them?
Yeah, it's religion, family, education, business, government, communications, and like entertainment, which any entertainment. So that's actually something that is very interesting because we just came back from this trip. We went to this other city, and we were calling um university students. And the main thing that we were talking about is the spheres, because they were like, we had a lot of questions. Okay, if I become a missionary, do I then have to go to China and live there forever? Not really, mate, because we've had this guy. He's studying to be a lawyer, and we told him like we need missionaries in within the lawyers, because I can go and preach the gospel to a lawyer, but a lawyer can be a better example. A Christian lawyer can be a better example, can connect way faster than I ever could. So we need Christian missionary lawyers within the lawyer community, and so goes for doctors, teachers, in the family, everywhere you go, you're gonna find people that don't know Christ. It doesn't mean that you have to go to China, leave everything behind, and never go back to back where home is. But it is interesting that as you say yes to God, you may come back to a place geographically, but you're never gonna be the same, because the God transforms you.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back into the like YWAM. Like I said, like there's that word of the 7 spheres of society is like a legacy for us, where in YWAM we are called to send out young people into those 7 spheres, into every area of society. That whatever God's calling you to, whatever he's putting on your heart, we want to train and equip you to go back to that place. And so it's really it falls really in line with what I did at CC, of just raising up young people, equipping them to go into the world fully prepared to make a difference. And so like for me, YWAM and DTS was really just like the continuation of the foundation that I already laid in CC.
Let me ask you some logistics, and then we'll give Amanda a chance. 2 things. Where is DTS? All over the world, or just one place?
We are in 160 countries around the world.
Okay.
And within those countries, there's like different bases. We are based in Mexico, in a city called Mazatlan, and we have DTSs here. But the US is filled with YWAM bases also that also run their DTSs, and we also have secondary courses, even after DTS.
You keep training. Okay, and then is there a cost to this 5 months? Do you have to raise your own funds to do this?
Yes. Are you?
Yeah. So, yeah, DTS has 2 different costs. Like depending, the first part, the lecture phase is like one cost to be here, and then the outreach is another cost. So your time where you're here with us in classes every single day has its own cost, and then the outreach, depending on where you go. If you stay in Mexico, it's a little bit cheaper. If you go to like the Middle East, it might be more expensive. Yeah, we not only do like DTS students raise their own money, actually all of us in YWAM as staff, as you know, anybody working with YWAM, no one gets a paycheck. No one is paid by YWAM. There's no YWAM corporate that's actually paying people. So yeah, we are all, from the founder of the company or from the founder of the movement all the way down to like the very bottom, we're all supported by friends and family and church members who are sending us out. And so we want to be really integrated. We don't want to be separate from the church. We want to be integrated with the church, and the church really blesses us by sending even us out individually. We're supported by church, by family, by you know, people who believe in us and our mission. And then yeah, DTS students as well. You raise money, rally church and Christians around you to support you and send you out. And that's a beautiful way to be a part of mission as well.
So is there a website you can give to our listeners in case any of them want to donate?
To donate, yes. So there's two sides that come with donation, I guess. Like even for Lucas and I personally, we always need funds. So yes, I can give you the link to our to the way that we receive money, and it is tax deductible. And so that's almost like an adopt a missionary. And then as well, like as a base, we're raising money. And we always have a need in different ministries because we're also just supported by the church. So if there's a specific ministry or something that catches your eye, then people are also welcome to donate there. So there's the two sides of it.
Oh,
And what are they
and
called so we can find it?
I have a link. It's through YWAM Tyler. So I have a link there, and then the base also has like a separate.
So if I just go to YWAM to their main site, I'll see places to make donations.
If you go to
involved?
YWAM Mazatlan, then you can donate to them there, and then our donation information is separate.
Okay.
something else. I don't know if this is gonna be a question in the future or not, but DTS is not the only opportunity. We receive teams which are a group from church families are here, and they get to build houses for people that are homeless. The government actually we have this ministry called Homes of Hope, and we build houses for people that live in like the equivalent of like a shack or like a shanty town here. And the government recognize what we do, and they're like, hey, we have these around 300 families that have been displaced because of violence with the cartels. Would you guys like to build houses for them? And we're like, yep, yes, we do. So we already built like 20 houses, and groups of people can come within a week, and you guys can come and actually build this. Not just send like money in, but you can come and help and see. Like you get to see the family, you get to literally build the walls and everything. So there are many opportunities for not just for the 5 month program, but like for volunteers and building houses and many other things.
Yeah, we do all sorts of ministries. I'd say that's another reason that YWAM Mazatlan is great. There's so much accessibility. Like anything that you want to do, you can come as an individual for a week and we'll create a trip for you. You can come as a CC family, a CC community, anything, we'll create a trip for you. Or even if you want to get trained, then there's the DTS, and that's really like the heart of what we do. And so yeah, there's lots and lots of options getting
Yeah.
You guys are super enthusiastic. So Amanda, what would you like to know?
Well, yay. I'm glad to hear about what you've been doing, and I'm glad for the heritage on both sides. So one of my questions, you said we really value the church. How do people get involved in the local church when they come to DTS? Because it sounds like it's relatively base centered in terms of you're training them. What does other training, their church relationship look like when they're on DTS?
Yeah, for me, I think kind of like I said, having that group of people rally around me, right, was really important to where I wasn't just going out and being sent to do missions, you know, like somewhere else isolated by myself, but I actually had a surrounding of a community who's sending me and pushing me, and then I'm also relating like everything that I'm doing back to them. So when it comes to like my own community, my own local church, in that way, you know,
So you're sending church.
yeah and communities and friends, yeah, they get to be a part and like take ownership also and like reward for everything that I'm doing here because they're a part of it, they're seeing it, and they're being kind of encouraged by it. And then here in Mazatlan, we're connected to a lot of local ministries and a lot of churches. We really like anything you can imagine when it comes to ministry, like we're doing it.
Yeah, I think my question actually, Lucas and Evalyn, is more how are you taking care of your own spiritual life while pouring out into others? Because yeah, I've grown up overseas and I've grown up embedded in missionary communities as well. And to pour out constantly is powered by the Holy Spirit, but also how does YWAM help you connect for yourselves to grow? Because youth with a mission is beautiful, but it needs help to keep people healthy in the church.
Oh yeah. So even like I, I think I understand the question, but
Mhm.
you can tell me. But like even here, we um we have people that we're over and we're pouring into, but we also have people above us that are helping us because like even not just in our marriage, but like we have like another couple that we're walking with
Mm-hmm.
here, but also just other people that can be helping us with like keeping us in check. Like as soon like people that really know us, they're like, "Hey, how are you actually doing?" And like as soon as it hasn't happened, thank God, but like as soon as like, oh, I'm getting a little burnt out, that person, which was like our 101,
Mm-hmm.
and that person can recognize that and help you find true find rest in everything that you're doing, or the person can like say, hey, maybe you need to take a day or a week just like to reconnect. And so that's how we usually do it. It's our community
Mm-hmm.
is very much like we help each other. We all always have somebody above us, and we also are we are being discipled, and we're also discipling other people.
That did answer the question. Thank you, Lucas.
I did understand it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great question, but I think that yeah, for me, it was really helpful. I think I in the beginning had a little bit of like hesitation of like, oh, do I really want to join a group? You know, like I want to be, on my own. But there's like the two benefits of being part of a community or like even a YWAM base or YWAM community is the opportunity to pour into lots of different ministries that maybe you weren't aware of before, right? The connection of to an experience of like participating in all sorts of different ministry and taking on all sorts of different responsibility, but then also that community aspect of actually being taken care of and walking like as a family towards one goal together. Yeah, like the community here has been unbelievable for us, us personally, for our marriage, for our family, just to push us forward and always to be cheering us on in every like everything that we're doing. Yeah.
Beautiful. So how long have you been on mission?
Lucas.
Well, me officially since I did my DTS,
Mm-hmm.
9 years, and it's gonna be 10 years next September. Unofficially, 30 years.
Oh
My
yeah.
parents.
MK. Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah, yeah.
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 Yeah, so I did missions trips in high school, just through like my local church. And so those were just like week long every year. And then after I graduated high school, after I graduated Challenge 4, then I did my DTS. And so it's been 3 years.
Okay. So you went straight from finishing Challenge 4 to the mission field.
Mm,
What would you like to tell somebody else about why do that?
yeah. Well, I didn't go into doing my DTS expecting it to be like my lifetime. I had other interests and other things as well. I feel like I always did have that calling towards doing ministry or something yeah, that had to do with sharing the gospel. But I was also really considering like art or illustration. Even being from Florida, there was tons of opportunities with like Pixar or animation or all sorts of these things. So when I did my DTS, I think it really opened my eyes first of all to a different culture, and that reveals a different side of God. So I really got a heart for a people group by entering that people and seeing
Mm-hmm.
what God's doing through them. And then I actually found out about the opportunity of an art school that happens in Mazatlan. So I kind of mentioned before, like we're all about training. So DTS is the first part, and then we also the seven spheres, like legacy word of sending people out. A way that we kind of like equip people to go out is through those secondary school trainings. And so after my DTS, I prayed and really felt like coming back to do the art school. It's an art evangelism school. So it follows the same kind of structure as DTS, where you have 3 months of like lectures, and those were classes that were both like spiritually about who I am as an artist and my identity in Christ as an artist, but then also like actual practical schools or practical classes from teachers coming around the world about how to paint acrylic versus watercolor, color theory, all those things. And so to me, that was like an incredible opportunity where I had considered going to college in the States, but it brought up different like concerns about, you know, and like what I would learn there, especially in art college, and what, you know, authorities I'd be under. And so coming to a Christian place that really fulfilled my need of preaching the gospel and participating in the kingdom and in ministry, and then also was able to fill me in my own identity and prepare me and equip me. And so after that, the Lord just kept calling me back to this place, and then we got married. And so missions is like the number one thing, but I've also been able to use my skills and my gifts, and also been equipped through a Christian community, through, you know, YWAM, and the University of the Nations, which is like a university that's connected to us as YWAM, be equipped and prepared to use my own individual gifting, passions, and skills for.
So was your art school through University of Nations?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so could a student go ahead and just go to that art school without doing DTS and YWAM, or do you have to be part of YWAM first?
You have to do DTS first.
Yeah.
DTS is like the entry course.
Yeah.
And whenever you do that, within YWAM, we have the University of the Nations, which you go all the way to doctrines, with different degrees you can get from like AA to doctrine. It is in the US, it's beginning to be like accredited, but and there's like a lot of universities like outside, like in Australia, they already credit our like degrees, but it's not that you can just like you do the school and and just like it just transfers over to another school. Maybe there's a lot of Christian universities right now. They're in the process of accrediting, because it's a live learn environment. So you're not just sitting in class, you are learning and also doing at the same time, learning and practicing at the same time.
Yeah. So for DTS, you get credits with University of the Nation. Our secondary schools, you also get credits for University of the Nation, and then Christian universities usually are open to taking credits from the University of the Nation. It's a real university that's set up and everything.
I didn't know about the University of Nations. I'm going to look into it. And I like how you said the word live learn. We like to say we're lifelong learners.
Yeah.
But I think live learn's got a little more of a ring to it. When you think
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
Well, okay. Actually, this is on the missions front. Some mission organizations will say, don't date people when you're in your first 3 years of missions.
Yeah.
That obviously wasn't what went down here. So how did you guys meet?
Yeah, I would say one of the main classes that we do in DTS is hearing the voice of God. It's really, really key for us to be able to hear the voice of the Lord and be led not just by his scripture, but also by his voice. And so we met when I was doing my DTS. He was staff of another school, and then we started our relationship, and we were like 10 months long distance. And so that was difficult, but really it was just both of us hearing the voice of the Lord giving us a yes, and giving us an okay. And so we got married in June. We were dating for about like more than 2 years, engaged for like 7 months, I think, and then married. And really like the process for us was just hearing the voice of the Lord and obeying him, and being, you know,
and not walking with other people
and
too.
walking with other people.
Because even as we started dating, we're also walking with a couple that was married, well, which they're still the people that we walk with, so they can, because they had like they were married for like they're still married for 40 years plus, so they're like, hey, like they can guide us and pray with us for stuff, for like next steps.
It sounds like you guys have a really rich life, service and serving and people being around you. Can you tell us, what are you finding to be the hardest thing in being missionaries?
The hardest thing Dang, that's
It's all easy, huh?
It's not all easy. I think for me, or something that we're walking in now, is just having so many dreams and so many words from the Lord and just waiting for them to come to pass. We're in a place where we're always seeing like so much fruit of different ministries and different people's dreams and all these things. And for us, like we have a lot of dreams, a lot of things that we want to see come to pass. And it's just patiently like waiting on the Lord and hearing his voice and believing him for our future.
So what are one of those things you're waiting on?
Mm.
Mind sharing something? Or are they too personal?
They're not personal. I think for me, I have a really big heart for education. So actually, like, especially everything that I learned in CC, this podcast is actually a part of fulfilling, I guess, that dream that I have. But I wanna I wanna bring my kids through CC, and I wanna like help establish communities in other places. And it's just learning how to do that through God, like connecting with what God has like spoken to me about being in YWAM, and then also helping missionary families be connected and have a good quality education for their kids where they're at.
Well, thank you. What a compliment. Thank you so much.
yeah. I'm thinking over here. I think for me the hardest thing would be not leaning on past experiences, because God decides to do things differently. So I'm like, oh, I may think, oh, I dealt with this before. Oh, this is how we did it this time. Okay, let's just copy paste. And what I learned from one of my leaders is that like you can't just copy paste something that you had success in the past, because if you just copy and paste, you're gonna become irrelevant. Like it's not gonna you're not gonna actually grow. So like with leaning on God for everything, for solutions, for like money, for whatever outreach that we're gonna lead, and it's just like always leaning on Him and not just relying on like, oh, I dealt with this before, let's just do this thing that works in the past. And yeah, I think that would be the hardest thing. And something that we're believing for, answering the second question, I'm definitely believing for more discipleship even after DTS, because we do a great job. I believe we do a great job in the 5 months that people come, but the great majority of people that do DTS, they don't come back to staff. And we don't necessarily want that, because we want people out there, like we were saying, the 7 spheres. And then we send them out, and now it's like, oh, they're like kind of feels like we're throwing them to be by themselves. And what we want to do, is we want to connect those people that do DTS, so they feel the same support that they felt here. They can feel wherever they are now. And we want to connect them and do like a net group of discipleship, because we really see the power of the living room, that you don't have to be in a stage to feel God. You can be in a living room with a few people and feel the same thing as if you had like 300 people around you.
So it sounds like what you just described, and I'm going to say it back in case I'm wrong, is exactly what the local church is supposed to be. That they're the ones that's supposed to be connecting. But are you seeing the church fail at that, or are you seeing a different need than what a local church would offer?
I don't think the church has failed in that at all. But it's a very good question. I don't think the church. I don't think the church failed. It's we want to raise our hands and say we want to help with whatever you have.
Okay, so you're still being more helpful.
Yeah, So if you have already connections with the local, oh, that's another thing. Some people that a lot of people that do come, they are not necessarily connected with the church. Like some yes, some no. So we always say you have to connect with your local church. You have to, but as you're doing it, as you're in the process of doing it, we still want to raise our hand and say we want to help with whatever thing we can help. We want to help. So it's an add-on to the what the church is already doing.
Okay.
Makes sense. So, Evalyn, you said you did some missions trips when you were younger. Does YWAM have sort of high school mission trips that are some of these short term that somebody could get a taste?
Yes, for sure. So for me, it was a little bit difficult when I was in high school because I was going to a really big mega church. They were like the only ones that were sending people maybe out of country or doing consistent mission trips every year. And it was hard for us to really know like where to go and who to trust. And so for me, it was really exciting to say, hey, like this is YWAM and we want to connect to CC and give CC families and CC students a safe place where they have a connection to come and be a part of missions. And so, yeah, really I'm working with the people who host like teams here. So we take teams from like all over the world. Usually they're church groups or even like Christian high schools that are sending out teams. And then we'll work with a leader and like set up specific ministry times with them, set up like an entire trip that's personalized for them and what they want to do, what ministries they want to get involved with. And so I'm in contact with the person who sets those up to also start welcoming CC families and CC communities even. So that's 100% available. If there's a CC class even that wants to go and just do a week of missions in Mazatlan, we always have a need. We always have things to do. We always have opportunities for you. We need more people. We need more help keeping up everything that we're doing. And same thing, we're really passionate about training people up. So, and helping them just experience what missions is. And so I think it's a great partnership on both sides. Actually, like our mission statement as YWAM is know God and make him known, which is CC's mission statement. And so I think it really is a great partnership. But yeah, if somebody is interested in either just coming their family and doing a week or bringing a CC community and doing a week, bringing a combination of families and students or anything, then we're very much available to host a team and get you involved in what we're doing.
So how would a family contact you or a community?
Yeah, so I have a link that I already sent through email to you guys, but it's like an information form. So if you fill out like just your name and your contact and put what you're interested in, then one of us, like I will directly get in contact with you and help you set up a team to get connected to the right people. So you're not going to someone else in YWAM, you're being directly connected to like the link.
So is the link too long or can you tell us what it is?
Let me look at it.
So people can. And then,
while you're looking, so you're Mazatlan based, YWAM is all over the world. So if somebody felt a passion for a different area of the world, they would contact somebody different?
Yes. So our base, we work specifically with YWAM Mazatlan. So that's our connection. One of our values is to be decentralized. And so we don't have like one YWAM headquarters. We all live out the same values, the same curriculum, the same understanding, but we are individual bases. And so, yeah, we are only connected to YWAM Mazatlan.
So maybe it's the link something Emma can put into the show notes when she posts it on.
Yeah. So our like website is just YWAMMazatlan.com. It's like YWAM Mazatlan.com. And then you can also reach out to me. Like I'll put my email out there also, just Evalyn, EVALYN at YWAMMazatlan.com.
Good. Thank you. Well, it was really great having you guys. We're out of time. Amanda, I enjoyed this so much. Did you?
Yes, I did. It was lovely to meet you. Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll have you back in the future. Thank you guys.
Thank you
God
guys
bless
so
you.
much.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.